so much gloom hiding the reality. It's just a beautiful day. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's just a beautiful day. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's just yeah. Take a look into the sky. Take a look into the sky.
Look in the sky.
Keep your head up high.
High. Keep your head high.
Take a look into the sky.
Good morning and welcome to Gulfstream today. Ron Nicoletti along with Acacia Courtney. And if you didn't change your clocks, you're probably not seeing us right now. So it looks like you did. You had to put your clocks ahead 1 hour.
That's right, spring forward. So we did lose an hour of sleep, but we got our coffee this morning, so we're ready to go.
Yes, Acacia was right there with the piping hot coffee to get our day started. And guess what? We have $2.9 million in the Rainbow Six jackpot carryover.
Yeah, that's definitely the story. There were a few singles heading into the last race yesterday, which we closed it out with the Captiva Island, won by Blue Bahia. And so everybody on the edge of their seats a little bit, but it does carry over today, and that will be one of our, of course, featured wagers on today's program.
Yeah, a little later on, but let's run through the menu and see what we're offering you today. Of course, we have a rolling super high five every time. We have 7 or more runners in the field, and then Acacia is going to have her first of 2 pick fives right in race number 1.
First race does start the early pick 5, and then with 13 races on tap today, we have the ever popular middle pick
like
4.
that.
It's in the middle. Don't forget about it. So 3 pick 4s today, and then of course that giant Rainbow Six carryover.
Yeah, $2.9 million. So it's way over 3. As soon as they open the betting, it'll be over $3 million in like 12 seconds. And of course, we ended there, as I mentioned. Acacia will have a second of our 2 pick 5s in the afternoon. Late pick 5.
That's right.
Okay. That's it. That's all the early work. We got all that done. We're going to delve right into the first race. About 7.5 furlongs on the turf, maiden claiming fillies, 3-year-olds. And as we said, Acacia's going to show you her ticket.
All right, we'll show you my ticket, try to keep the good momentum going. And I admit, I had a tough time with this sequence, just the entire card in here today. And race number 1, I'm going to use the inside 2 horses that looked the logical for me. And the second race, I think I have the best speed horse in Making Havoc, and Lady Coventry back on the dirt, who can be closing from a bit off the pace. In race number 3, hoping Mr. Papillon gets a better break than he did last time, a better start to the race. I'll use him as well as the number 5, One of a Kind. In the 4th race, going 2 deep as well, because I wanted to spread in the 5th. Now, I used 5 horses, so you should probably bet the farm on the 1 horse that I did not use, but I really just didn't know what to do with this race. You only have 1 horse that has experience, and so my biggest piece of advice is watch the board when you're betting race number 5 and maybe use that as a spread race. Or if you've heard a tip or you've just been really high on one particular first-time starter like the breeding, what have you, zero in on that horse. But $40 for me.
Yeah, that's a good way to do the ticket with the 5th race, because it is a wide open affair. Now, in the first race, not the case with me. I love the 2 horse today. Miss Elephant beating a half length at this distance on the turf. At the $50,000 level. That was during January, moved to the Bobby DeBona barn. I want to show you a stat on Bobby DeBona before we get into this. First start after the claim on the turf, he's 16%. He's in the money 40% of the time, but if you dumb it down, he's just really been doing well over the last 60, 30 days.
He really has been, and as you said, especially first off the claim, and 2 starts back with this filly. She had just had a nightmare trip, and that was won by an upset runner in Hazana, but her race 3 starts back, her first turf race against Maiden 50 Company. She showed speed that day. She was beaten only by half a length, and I think if she runs back to that race at all, that really could be the key for her. Last time, she was still a respectable second, even though it was taken off of the turf.
Now, the horse you used, the second horse you used in your ticket, Fast Girl, were ridden today by Chris Landeros, wanted to say that, and I think this is a logical contender, Fast Girl.
And it's kind of interesting looking at this. No siblings did win on the turf for this filly, but Dale Romans, he had a horse yesterday in a maiden claiming race that was trying the turf for the first time and ran very well. And first time on the turf with maiden claimers, he bats about 20% and a positive ROI. So good move for this barn.
And I split those 2 with Michelle's Laugh, cutting back to 7.5 furlongs, stalk the pace, finished 4th against Similar, going a mile into 16. I like to cut back in distance.
And we do have all of our top riders back in town today, whether they were in Tampa or New York, California, whatever it might be. So a rat or a tease Series. We'll have the call once again.
Boy, I would like to have some of those frequent flyer miles.
Yes.
Second race on the main track, 6 furlongs, claimers, fillies and mares, non-winners of 3 are raced since September 8th, and we have 6 in the field, and I think Making Havoc is the logical choice.
I almost singled this horse. I kept going back to this one on the drop, second off the claim for Ralph Zadie. Been freshened up a bit since the 24th of January, and again, I just really think that the drop will be key.
Yeah, let's show you a stat on Ralph Zadie. Layoff of 31 to 60 days, and all claiming levels, dirt sprints right here at Gulfstream Park. He's 34%, 62% in the money, and an over $3 return of investment. So Making Havoc, it looks like the logical one, and certainly the stat helps that out.
Oh yeah, that's a fantastic stat, and pretty specific too, just dirt sprints at Gulfstream, and obviously the barn does great with that kind of move. I did include Lady Coventry. We're actually in agreement in this race, which is amazing, but I thought that her dirt race 2 starts back was solid, and the fact that it was going 7/8, I think that the 6 furlongs will just be a little bit better distance for her.
Yeah, she rallied to finish third, facing the 16th 3 lifetime claimers, Ralph Nix, Tyler Gaffleon would both use Lago Linda in third, dropping to this level today.
Lago Lindo, I think on the drop, and especially picking up Irad Ortiz, the drop will certainly be key, and we'll see how she goes sprinting. She does come out of a key race, even though she was well beaten.
Well beaten in that race, and maybe the couple of karma changes will help her out this afternoon. We flip the page. We go to race number 3. We go back to the turf. It is 1 mile and 1/16. Claimers 4 and up. Non-winners of 2 in life. $16,000. Do have one scratch to let you know about in here, and it's for Dance's Edge has been declared out of race number 3. And you mentioned Mr. Papillon's trouble last time out.
Yes, we're going to show you the start of the race because that's basically all you need to see to have an explanation of why he really just ran so poorly. So there he is, the number 8, and he just rears at the start as we let it go. And there he goes, kind of plops out of the gate and immediately spots the field several lengths. And there's just a lot going on in that race early on. So just wanted to show that to highlight why, after coming in off of a really good race 2 back, he was just such a poor effort last time.
And he was 12th and last, as you just saw, and he rallied to finish 5th, to me was amazing,
Yes.
just to be 5th after that start. I mean, once that happens, it's usually over, and sort of was, but still managed to finish 5th. With that said, I put on top the number 5, One of a Kind, and this one is stretching out to 1 mile and a 16th today. Broke from a demanding outside post and finished a 4-wide second, going 7.5 furlongs. The concern is the 1 for 17 record.
He has been kind of knocking on the door in his last couple of starts, but the barn's been going well. 2 wins yesterday for trainer Armando de la Cerda with some short price horses for sure. And One of a Kind, 2 starts back, actually finished right behind Mr. Papillon, who was in dead heat for second, and that was in a race that he did have a little bit of traffic trouble in. And last time, even with the outside post, I thought ran a good second. So these were the logical 2 in my mind.
Mine too. I used Rhythm of Samad in third. You used the 7-horse Slimy, I believe it is.
I did. I think just stretching out in distance and dropping. This one does have some backlash to run too.
Yeah, it's Rhythm of the Smart, changing barns, going to the Jenna Antonucci barn. Thought that can grab a share, but you're right. It's either the 8 or the 5. I think if we're right, we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll go to the 4th race on the turf, about 7 1/2 furlongs. Claimers, fillies and mares, non-winners of 3 in life, and Plain Air on top of both of our tickets.
Well, we'll backtrack to this win from Plain Air last time out. Second off the claim for Angel Rodriguez, trying to make it 2 in a row. She was the number 1 that day, and she really set a perfect stalking trip. And now they start to shift her out. She takes over the pace setter, who is at 19 to 1 right there. And what I thought was impressive about her is that once she ends up taking over, she manages to hold off closing horses too. Luis Saez rode her beautifully. He's going to ride her again today, and I thought that she ran a really big race in there and should be coming back for another one.
I liked her. And I was looking yesterday, a horse that ran. Remember, we were asking of the key race, or some key races starting to percolate.
That was the Prado Vision, 2 starts back.
2 starts back. So this horse be keeping some really nice company. Now, I went with the 8 and second. That's Hanson's Girl. He's stretching out around 2 turns after closing to finish 4th. That was in back-to-back sprints at 5 furlongs. Their almost carbon copy performance. Daughter of Hanson, I think, is closer to the pace at this distance.
I think on the stretch out, she will be part of the pace scenario in here. She's 0 for 10 10 on the turf. In fact, her wins came on the synthetic, in fact, both of them. And she finally got that non-winners of 2 back at the end of December. And it just looks like sprinting on the turf is just not the name of her game. Whatever's going on is just not working. So they're going to try stretching her out in distance, and maybe that added real estate and some speed will help her.
Yeah, and it just looks like there's no, top speed horse in here. So maybe if she can carve out that trip. And we both use Court Central. You actually used Court Central in the second.
Well, I liked the race from that horse last time out, and hopefully there is some more speed. Maybe Bossiata to the rail, I think, will probably be the main pace setter. That'll help out Court Central. Great to have Javier Castellano back in town. He was in California. These guys are amazing. They fly, they ride, and then they come right back.
It's amazing. So, he can't possibly be here today. I just saw him at 8:30 last night in California, our time. That's before we put the clocks ahead. So, getting a little confusing here with this clock stuff, but we'll see. Now we're coming to race number 5. We're confused about this race, too. This is more occasion.
That was a good segue.
6 furlongs, maiden special weight, 3-year-olds.
Well, yes, this race was tough because, as I said, there are 6 horses in the field.
Right.
And you can really make a case for all of them.
Exactly.
You really can.
Exactly.
So I ended up taking the number 4 Auto Straight and just going through and looking at the family. This is one of 2 in here for trainer Todd Pletcher. He's got Auto Straight and the number 6 Galatians as well. And I thought Auto Straight with John Velasquez in the saddle, working solidly. The mare was stakes place. This is the $400,000 Son of Giants Causeway. But this is a race that I really think, watch the horses in the paddock before the race and watch how the board is playing too.
Yeah, and once again, I try and beat Todd Pletcher every time. It never really works out. I went with the 2 Crafty Jack, and I'll tell you why. This one is turning back to 3/4 mile, broke from an outside post, vied for the lead, got nabbed late in that race, and finishing second at 7 furlongs. He's the only entrance in the field with previous experience.
And that really could be the key. He had a far outside post last time too and was only beaten by 3/4 of a length and been working well at Gulfstream Park West. So I could not leave that horse off given the experience. But the one that really intrigues me, and I saw that you used that one in second too, is the number 5 D Squared for trainer Mark Cassie. Just that work tab at Palmetto is really, really intriguing.
Yeah, he's got that bullet work in 47-3. Want to show you a stat on Mark Cassie with 3-year-olds, first-time starters on the dirt. He's 7 for 44, 16%. He's 41% in the money and a return of investment of $1.35. So Mark Cassie just has so many horses, and they all look well, they all run well, and I think it's one of the horses you have to use in this wide open race.
Yeah, definitely one to take a look at, and I'll be really excited to see this race and how it unfolds when we get there.
I'm looking at our selections. That's about it with the 5, maybe in the 6 a little bit. So a tough race there. And in case you made a great point, watch the board before you get, it's not easy to do that when you're betting an early pick 5, but as moving forward. But always good, and Todd Pletcher is Todd Pletcher. He's got 2 in there. Let's go to race 6. This one, 5 furlongs on the turf. These are claimers, 4 and up, non-winners of 2 in life. We do have a scratch of the 7, Dublin Thinker. And we both went with the number 3, Top Hat, sitting on top of our ticket.
Well, now we're back in agreement, and it's been a tough meet with the horses that Wayne Potts has run here, but very good trainer based primarily in the Mid-Atlantic. And I think Top Hat City, with that good race here at Gulfstream under his belt, he's kind of gotten a feel for being in South Florida. Ran 4th last time against tougher competition, taking the drop. And more than anything, I think the race flow is really going to be in his favor here. I think he's going to sit a perfect trip.
Yeah, and that was my thought process, too, with Top Hat City. Now, we differ a little bit with our second and third choices. I went with Arpanello, will break from an inside post today after departing from post 10 last time out, rallying to finish 3rd at this level in distance. Jose Garofalo, Miguel Vasquez, been running in good form, Miguel Vasquez. And he's in the saddle today. So Arpanello and then Offshore Trip.
An Offshore Trip got the maiden win last time, so facing winners for the first time, but he was really game. And Dominic, the second place finisher, did come back to win.
So key race percolating. That is race number 6. Now we'll go to the 7th race of the afternoon. We're getting ever closer to the Rainbow Six.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
The 7th race, 7 furlongs, maiden claim. It's 3-year-olds, $12,500. Scratch to 4. Sit go. I went with Burton, and I look up, and so did you.
I did. Well, I thought that the drop in class, he's never run this low before, adding the blinkers, and he's got natural speed. I know he was beaten as the favorite in his last 3 races, but I think with his speed, especially with those blinkers on, he's just going to run away from the rest of the field and might be a touch faster.
Yeah, he was beaten at 3 to 5 last time out, so 25 maidens going a mile last time out, turning back to 7 furlongs. definite the one to fear
Yes.
in this race. I used the 1 King Wildcat in second, stretching out today to the 7 furlong distance after rallying to finish third against similar opposition. That was going 6.5. I think this is a positive step forward, that extra half a furlong.
I think so too. I think that he certainly fits in this field. I was intrigued by the number 8, We Take Checks, for trainer Nicholas Gonzalez, who does actually have 2 in here. He also has the number 2 Switchblade, who is taking a drop in class. But I thought We Take Checks. We had expected him to run a little bit better last time than he did, but maybe second time in this barn and second time with Tyler Gaffalione up.
Should I mention longer price of the uncoupled entry, or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Always look at the longer price of the uncoupled entry. In that, I used to use, and so did you in third, Rider of the Blue, trying 7 furlongs. Responded last time to the drop down surface switch with a second place finish. They're searching. Looks like they might have found a spot.
It looks like the dirt is where he wants to be. That's definitely been his best race by far.
Now we're going to get ready to take a break, Brad. So we're taking a break. We'll be right back.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet, we are racing.
Pennsylvania, proud of our growing breeding and racing industry. Tens of thousands of jobs with a massive economic impact. Now, North America's most lucrative awards program will pay a 50% breeder award for PA-sired, PA-bred maidens who run first, second, or third, with 25% for non-PA-sired PA-breds. Plus, up to 40% in owner bonuses, 400-plus restricted races, and our program has paid out $30 million for the 6th straight year. Breeding and racing in Pennsylvania. It's a winner.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today, Ron and Acacia. We'll continue with our head-scratching card. It's a tough one today. The Rainbow Six starts in race number 8, $2.9 million just to start. So well over $3 million this afternoon. And this one is 1 mile and 1/8 on the turf. Maiden special weight fillies, 3-year-olds. Scratch the also eligible number 13 Glitz. Here is my ticket, $64.80. Been stuck on this number, trying to get it done because these are tough races, and I'm trying to get a winning ticket here. 2,946,000. 3 deep in here. Could have gone 5 deep.
Absolutely.
And in race number 11, I got my long shot today. And in race number 11, that is the number 2 Trickazar. 15-1 on the morning line, so we'll see if we can get that one done this afternoon. But a tough sequence, $64.80 for me.
I like it, and I'm in agreement with you. I think that this is a pretty tricky sequence to really narrow in on. And we were talking in the commercial, the way that it starts, this is a tough race too. And this is another example, especially with this maiden race. Watch how the board is playing. You can take a look at these maidens before you put your ticket in. So it's actually good to start a sequence on a race like this.
Yeah, well, you don't have the 5, and we'll see how this works out here. Let me tell you about the 5, Joy of Treasure. Stretching out to 1 mile and 1/8 this afternoon after returning from the freshening, finished a late closing third against Special Weight Company. I respect Brian Lynch. Joel Rosario added real estate this afternoon. Thought that might be the key. But you have horses on this ticket. You have 2 Charming on your ticket, and you also have Kensington.
I liked Kensington. They come out of the same race, and I would have liked to see more from Kensington there. But I think second time out, this daughter of Kitten's Joy, she's definitely got the pedigree. She's after multiple Grade 1 winner. Winchester, who earned more than $1.6 million. Beautifully bred filly for Christophe Clement.
Yeah, and we're going to show a video from 2 Charming.
That's right. We'll go to 2 Charming, who is your morning line favorite, I think. Yes, on the outside, because she ran very well last time out. She was the number 1 that day, and this is another well-bred filly. She's by Bernardini, and out of a really nice mare in 2 Charmant, who earned more than $1.7 million on the racetrack, and they're in the blue Godolphin colors. She was the speed that day under Luca Panici, and he's going to stay aboard. She really seemed to find her stride, and I think can handle the 9 furlongs. What I do like about her, too, is she has has experience and run well at this 9 furlong distance. Right at that point, the number 5, Sweet Sting, came charging on by her. And Sweet Sting came from the back, so it was really a tale of 2 different trips, too.
And I just think Too Charming really has the speed to overcome the post 11. It might be the one that sets the pace in this particular spot.
And worth noting, trainer Tom Albertrani did have a big win at Tampa yesterday with Andina Del Sur, so barn going well.
Yeah, barn's going well. They got a couple of wins here, and couldn't be a nicer guy.
Absolutely.
Also, Kensington, the horse that you had at top, I want to show a stat on Christophe Clement's second career start, second time in a route race for 3-year-olds, maiden special weight on the turf. Now, that is a mouthful just to say that, but listen to this. He's 12 for 55, 22%. 55% in the money and $1.75 return on investment. So lots to like about number 2 Kensington, who you do have, I do have on my Rainbow Six ticket.
I agree with you. I think that those are some of the logical horses that we talked about, and then you really can go in a lot of different ways. Todd Pletcher has 2 in here. He has the number 1 Memorabilia, who is second choice on the line, I think. And then you have Amazing Audrey, who's a big price. And I actually like the race that she comes out of. She was beaten by Bratata last time out, who went on to be 3rd in a grade 3 company for trainer Chad Brown, and I thought that this one second time out could improve as well.
Sure glad this race is the first leg of the Rainbow Six.
That's
you
right.
can watch the board, and maybe that'll help you out. Now we'll go to race number 9 this afternoon, about 7½ furlongs allowance up on the turf, allowance optional claiming fillies and mares, or the optional claiming price of $25,000. Scratch the 6 Luna Lolita, and the main track only Devilish Romance. And this is where we have our late pick 5, and you have your ticket.
I will show you my ticket in here, and as I was saying with Ron's Rainbow Six, tough sequence to really narrow in on, but I think Farcical Feline can make it 2 in a row, and I saw looking at the picks that we're in agreement with that. I'm going to use 3 horses, though, to start things off here. I really like Milbra in race number 10. I think that she's going to close from the outside. She was beaten just a neck last time. She's as tough as they come. And I'm only using 2 horses in there, which makes me a little bit nervous. That's a tough race in race number 10. In the 11th, I'm going to go 3 deep. That's a good maiden special weight. I included a bit of a price in a Bill Mott first-time starter, Miss Mimosa. Not only am I a Mimosa fan, but Bill Mott's firsters have been running very well lately. In race 12, going 2 deep, and then hopefully we make it to the last leg. I prefer the horses with turf experience in the 4 and the 6.
Yeah, I mean, the only disagreement that we have is I threw my long shot in there, race number 11, and you got a long shot in it, so we'll have dueling long shots. But I am in agreement with you with Farcical Feline, a winner of 2 of 3 turf races here since arriving from Monmouth.
And we'll show that most recent one on February 21st. She was the number 6 that day, and she sent up and then settled stalking on the rail. And she's at this point, if we could just freeze it right there, we've got Farcical Feline in the red cap, just waiting for room. You see, she's got these horses in front of her, and she's got pretty much nowhere to go. And as she decides to come up the rail and go this way, she's going to end up having to duel with the horse out front as we let it go from there, who is Havana Affair. And she is just very, very game to slip up the rail like that. Edgar Zayas rode her beautifully. He's ridden very well for trainer Alan Goldberg, and I thought it was a big performance from her.
Yeah, that was a great move by Edgar, and Edgar back aboard. Alan Goldberg, as you mentioned, just been doing great with all his runners here this winter, and I'm hoping we get something close to what's on the morning line. I think 6 to 1 or something like that.
I'll take that.
Farcical Feline. So on top of both of our tickets, I went with the 7 in second. You have it on your ticket. Mischievous Champ, turning back slightly to 7.5. Return from the layoff, set the pace, come within a half length of facing this caliber of competition. Brian Lynch, Joel Rosario in the saddle today. A little bit of a speed play.
Yeah, she certainly got that speed, and she was beaten by a very tough, hard-knocking horse in Pat M's Image, who likes to close from off of it. So certainly second off the layoff could take a step forward. Speaking of layoff, I was intrigued by the number 3 Summer Luck, who certainly has a lot of backlash. She was facing graded stakes competition in 2017. We haven't seen her since October, so she's coming off of the layoff, but looks like she's been working well at Palmettos.
Yeah, she's got tons of backlash. If she comes comes back and runs, this spot is perfect for her.
Absolutely.
But coming off the lay of a little bit of a guess, and I think that one might end up the favorite on there. Well, it was, I don't even know if it was the morning line favorite or not. Race number 10, 6 furlongs, claimers, fillies and mares 4 and up, $6,250. And you went with Milber on top and parts from the outside, stretches out to this distance of 6 furlongs.
And I don't mind her at the 6 furlong distance. I just really think that she fits at this level more than anything. And trainer Robbie Mirage's horses have been running great lately. This horse ran a huge race last time. She was just caught by Indominus, but she's as game as they come. And normally she is that one that likes to close from off of it and has a very powerful kick to her. And I thought that she's going to get some speed. You've got Poopsie Doopsie, Fiore, Ventina, and First Distinction, all quick horses out of the gate.
Yeah, and this one's going to have that clear sailing from the outside post. And Milber, a horse that you can't leave off your ticket. And guess what? I didn't. And I did use the 6 Ventina on top and moved to the Dan Vella barn after the claim, turns back to 3/4 of a mile. Drew clear to wallop this level of competition at a mile.
That's a good way to put it. She really did wallop the competition, winning by 7.5 furlongs. And we'll see how she handles the sprint distance. And she's a really interesting horse. She was running on the turf really consistently. They switched her to the dirt, and she pretty much handles whatever's thrown at her.
And I have the 2 in 4th. You have the 2 horse in 2nd, and that's First Distinction. Morning line favorite, by the way.
Second off the claim for trainer Marcus Vitale, and she really didn't show up last time against Tougher. I think that she fits at the 62.50.
Yeah, and Poopsie Doops, you got to have somewhere in there too. Angel Rodriguez about 23% winning consecutive races. Let's go to race number 11 here. 6 furlongs, maiden special weight, 3-year-old fillies. And as you mentioned, tough race. So what did I do? I picked a horse that's 15-1 on mine. My long shot today is the 2 Trickazar, making the 3rd start of her current form cycle, turning back to 3/4 of a mile after surrendering that late lead, finishing 2nd against Similar, going 6.5 furlongs. I think off that performance, maybe comes back and steals this race.
She's got a lot of speed. That definitely is going to be the key for her, and she does pick up Edgard's eyes. We've been talking about this. A rider very good with a horse that has natural speed. So best of luck to you. This is a tough race as well. I went with a couple of firsters, and I took a stab with the number 7 Honored Promise. I just really liked the pedigree on this one, and this one's going out for trainer Jimmy Toner. Normally we kind of think, okay, maybe this horse might need a race, but it's a bit of a pedigree play. The fact that John Velasquez picks up the mount, I think that's really noteworthy. And this is the full sister to Grade 1 place Recepta, who Jimmy Toner did train. She was really precocious. She was 2 for 3 at age 2, so she has win early pedigree there, and I took a stab with this one.
Yeah, she was more turf, I
She
believe.
was turf, yeah.
But I got her on a ticket,
Yes.
so and I really respect what Jimmy Toner does.
Absolutely.
And the other horse that I use and you have in 2nd is Shanghai Shuffle. Now, this is a $275,000 daughter of Shanghai Bobby, debuting for Todd Fletcher, Lasix, Hall of Fame jock, Javier Castellano. Make it back. He'll be on there.
Yes, he will. And this filly, you might remember the name. She was actually scratched at the gate on February 19th. She had a mishap behind the gate, ended up on vet advice scratching, and she did not run that day. So good to see her back pretty quickly at the racetrack.
Now, who was your long shot in here?
The number 1, Miss Mimosa, for trainer Bill Mott. As you said, I like mimosas, and I like violence as a sire. And just, again, another little pedigree place out of a stakes-winning mare who did win at 2. She's got win early pedigree. Irad Ortiz up, and we've seen some really nice firsters for Bill Mott throughout this winter.
Incredible.
Yeah.
He's changing his MO for sure.
Absolutely.
They run yesterday. It was 1 on the lead. I thought it was
Yes.
going to steal the race. It backed up a little bit, but his horses have been running exceptionally well. So a fun race, a wide
Very
open
fun
race.
race,
Couple
yeah.
of long shots were given out to you there, and that is in race number 11. We'll go to race number 12, and this one's 6 furlongs. Allowance optional claim of 4 and up, and I went with the number 7, The Hardest Way, and so did you.
This one really jumps out on paper. Looking at that race last time out, got an 87 buyer speed figure off of about a 4-month layoff, beating just a neck behind a tough horse in Harry He, who we're pretty familiar with here. Got to keep up that momentum and run a race like that again, but Tyler Gaffleone does stay aboard.
And the other horse you used on your ticket, and same with me, I went too deep, and that is Adulation.
This one's turning back in distance, and it looks like sprinting is probably what he really wants to do. They tried stretching him out last last time, and he ran solidly, but I do prefer him at those 6-7 furlong races.
And our old buddy number 2, Barry Betts, hoping to find another gear during the stretch run after pressing the pace. Finished the distant third behind the best winner that day called Army Mule.
Yes, Army Mule and Harry He. So a little bit of a theme going here, but Luis Saez stays up for a horse that's pretty easy to root for.
And we're going to end the day and the week with race number 13, 7.5 furlongs about distance on the turf. Maiden claiming fillies, 3-year-olds, $20,000. Did get a late scratch of the number 3 just before we came on the air. That's Giovanni's Music. Also scratched the 5, Rocket Queen, and the 8, Top Dollar Nana.
Well, I went with the number 4, Momenta Cat, and you did too.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at this on paper. First off, the claim for Angel Rodriguez had a terrible trip last time out and was beaten by a Todd Pletcher runner and Miss Sophia Star.
Yeah, I mean, she's the logical one. And there's also the 6, and here's the other horse I think you sort of have to use on your ticket, and that's way over budget. I don't know if we're over time or not now, but we're dropping.
We've got a couple minutes.
We do?
Yes.
We're dropping to the $20,000 level, tracked the pace, and finished 6th in her $35,000 career debut. Going a mile. The trainer is my old buddy Gary Gullo. Jose Lescano handling the drop down in competition.
And you can even see the short comment unruly at the start. This horse, she was definitely acting like an inexperienced first-time starter. So now she does have that race underneath her belt and should be able to improve second time out.
Yeah, and I moved into the 2 with the scratch of the 3 in this race, and that's who's that?
Captain Carroll.
Captain Carroll. Yeah.
Adding the blinkers on, and I think Errata Ortiz Jr. picking up the mount, certainly noteworthy. We've seen some nice runners on the turf for trainer Joe Orsino, so we would talk about this too. You've got to watch who the jockeys are too here.
Yeah, you really do, and you know, not only does it reflect the odds on the board, it's just some jockeys are just so in tune right now on either it's the turf or the dirt, so you got to add that to your handicapping prowess, as we say. So
Is that what we say?
No, I don't know. It's the first thing that came out of my head. Phil, we're done. We're going to turn it over to Pete in a minute. You can see we're just about done here. We're going to turn it over to Pete Aiello, our track announcer, in just a couple of moments, and we'll be back here throughout the afternoon, I hope.